This resignation letter from Mattis comes, of course, on this decision on Syria. In his letter, he says we cannot protect our interest or serve that role effectively without maintaining strong alliances and showing respect to those allies. Obviously, very much in stark contrast when it comes to thinking with the President of the United States. Talk to me about how this is going to be viewed.
I think this is a damaging for the Trump administration because it's yet another official leaving the administration. Frankly, people have lost count. At least I can't tell you how many people have left. And this is the Defense Secretary. This is at a time when the president is engaged in major policy shifts. We're now getting reports that some troops may be withdrawn from Afghanistan in addition to the withdrawal from Syria. So this is going to be very difficult. And I suspect that this is going to create a lot of problems in the Senate where the Republicans hold the majority. And it will force the Senate Republicans to really reevaluate, the actions of the president. So far, they've played along, largely speaking.
You've heard a lot of folks in this city, Republicans and Democrats alike, who basically say they were comforted by Mattis and Kelly being around, basically grown-ups in the room, Kelly gone now, Mattis leaving. They were really seen as the ones who would tame the U.S. president's worst instincts, seen as a ballast. Frame this for us. How important is this departure, and what does this mean about, the military and foreign policy, for that matter, for the U.S. moving forward?
Yes, and let's not forget General McMaster, who was the National Security Advisor, and the serving three-star who's left the administration as well. So President Trump made a big case of how he had a lot of generals supporting him, even though he was, a non-traditional politician, outsider to Washington, but he had a lot of support from the generals. Well, all those generals have left him. The other general that supported him, General Michael Flynn, had to resign because of his lying to Congress and the FBI. And so this is a very critical situation for the Trump administration because now, as you said, there was some comfort on the part of the Republicans and others who used to say, look, as long as the big boys are there, the generals are in the room, then there's not much to worry about. But it seems like the president's America first, foreign policy behavior is not in sync with the way the establishment, particularly the Defense Department, has been behaving over the decades. I mean, these are people who have served the United States military for decades, and they are used to working with allies. And I think that it's come to a point where this is becoming problematic. And it goes to the whole idea that there are less and less people who are willing to work for the administration.
Well, talk to me about the global response. What's it likely to be from allies and other countries?
Well, I mean, look, we've had a very busy 48 hours between the president's tweet yesterday saying that he's going to pull troops out of Syria to the reports that there are also going to be some form of a pullout to Afghanistan. And now this, essentially major breaking news that Defense Secretary Mattis is leaving at the end of February. So I think the world is wondering what is going on in Washington and what is really going to happen. They're confused. A lot of people are saying, well, the Putin administration in Russia is very happy to see U.S. troops leave. So are the Iranians, and so is ISIS. I think that the world is far more, skeptical. I think that everybody's still wondering. I don't think anybody has a good idea as to how to read what's coming out of Washington. And so I think that the world is confused. I mean, it's been 2 years since they've been trying to get used to an America that's no longer an internationalist in its foreign policy behavior and more about America first in keeping with the Trump doctrine. But I think now it's reflective of some form of incoherence in Washington.
You saw the chief of staff departure, and then you saw a lot of people taking their names out of the running and kind of this scramble to find a replacement for Kelly. Nikki Haley is leaving as the U.S. ambassador to the UN. The replacement putting forward by the president, a former Fox News reader. So the question is now, who's going to take this job?
It's not clear at all to me. It's just so early. I suspect that, the president is having a hard time keeping up with, replacing people, because there's just so many of them leaving in quick succession. So it's really not clear who's going to take it. But I seriously hope that someone who is quite capable comes in and takes over, someone, along the lines of Jim Mattis himself. But, we just have to wait and see what happens.
Kamran Bokhari joining us from Chantilly, Virginia. Thanks so much.